everybody, what the flick? We are here talking about the return of the X-Files. I will be your resident true believer, William Bibbiani.
And I'm your always skeptical Meredith Placko.
And before we get started talking about the first new episode, my struggle.
Our struggle.
Where are you at as an X-Files fan? I think that matters to a lot of people.
Okay, so I grew up watching the X-Files. This was, I think we were talking about this beforehand. For many of our generation, this was our Twilight Zone. And I loved the series. Kind of Fox Mulder was my perfect husband, the man I wanted to marry. And Gillian Anderson was always the woman I wanted to be growing up. But then they got kind of weird when they brought in the two younger agents, the Terminator guy.
Was he younger? I always thought he was older.
I don't know.
You're talking about Doggett and Reyes.
And it was just kind of weird, and I kind of tuned off, and then the movies happened, and I was like, the X-Files, I'll keep them in my memories. And I've actually never revisited the show.
Okay. I was a big fan of the X-Files growing up. I've seen most of the episodes. I like many, I started tapering off when Duchovny left.
Yeah.
But I stuck around. I kept familiarizing myself with it. I've rewatched my favorite episodes over the years, like Clyde Breckman's Final Repose, Jose Chung's From Outer Space, the vampire one I think was Bad Blood. Mostly the monster episodes.
Yeah.
Those are always my jam, because I started to realize pretty early on that the conspiracy wasn't making any sense, and I started and you realize you can completely tune out those episodes.
Yeah.
So the show died a very slow death. It was around forever. And then they came back with another movie, which was really, really bad. Like, I don't even remember what happened in it.
Actually, you know what? I'll be very honest. The second movie, I didn't see. I purposely didn't see.
If Billy Connolly shows up and just says, I'm a pedophile priest and I still have psychic powers, and we'll be like, we still don't care. Like, we care about part of that. So it's back, and right away they're shoving us right into the conspiracy. And one of the issues I think a lot of people were talking about is, how does the X-Files work in the 21st century? Because it's a very 1990s show.
It is.
In a lot of ways, not just stylistically, but just politically. It was right after the Cold War. We were starting to, where is our political anxiety going to go? And we started pushing it inward towards the government. But it's had this sort of fun flavor to it, because we were concerned about things like aliens, which are silly things to worry about. But in the 21st century, our conspiracy theories are darker and more prevalent, and the internet has caused them to explode and get very dangerous.
And to be very honest, our conspiracy theories are a lot more grounded in real life issues like our government.
True. But that's not our government hiding aliens. It's our government is actually out to get us.
Yeah, exactly.
When the whole Edward Snowden thing, like, they're collecting all of our information. I'm like, did no one watch the X-Files? This surprises who?
No, no one at all. But at the same time, we as a society have become a lot less trustworthy of our government and more concerned about us and the idea and notion of aliens. People either believe it or not at this point. Like, it's just kind of this common thing that we don't think about, we don't worry about. We don't go to bed wondering if we're going to be abducted in the middle of the night, unless you kind of live in the Midwest.
Sadly, we have more important things to be worried about. And so a big question that this episode answers is, how is the X-Files going to handle the 21st century conspiracy? And the answer is not terribly well.
We have aliens!
They're here! They're just here. But they're here, but what are they doing? It turns out that they were here to save us, maybe, but Mulder has no reason to think that. So here's the basic plot of this episode. This drives me up the wall. Mulder is hanging out watching YouTube videos. Scully's at her day job. Skinner says, hey, did you check out this YouTube video? Then they meet Joel McHale, and Joel McHale's like, I have someone you should meet who can blow the lid off of everything. And she's like, yeah, I've been abducted by aliens many times. Interesting. Then she says, but I think they might have also been abducted by humans. And Mulder's like, what? This changes everything. And he comes up with this huge, unbearable monologue that Scully just looks at and just goes, no, that's stupid and dangerous, and you shouldn't say it. And then they say it, and then Joel McHale's web series gets canceled, and the girl dies. I think partially because she was driving in the middle of the road for no reason.
I think that was
she gets
really
Independence
it.
Day.
Yeah, she kind of, listen, let's just be honest. All right, here's the other thing. Okay, let's backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
Joe McHale and his weird straw man internet conspiracy TV group also has trillions. It's got to be trillions of dollars if you're able to recreate an alien spaceship with not just cloaking technology, like it can literally just go into another like dimension.
I don't know. Like David Copperfield made the Statue of Liberty disappear.
But you saw but whatever. It's basically an alien.
It's an alien
creation.
Alien recreation via recreation.
Right, I don't know. Like
they remade a UFO.
An
they
AEV,
reverse engineered it,
and it runs on a completely alternate power source that could really just power the whole world.
Right.
And you've got to have a crap ton of money in order to do that. But you think this guy could have had maybe some more security involved? You would think.
Just on a warehouse?
I know, just on a warehouse.
Because the whole thing, one thing they start talking about and then they completely destroy it is like, okay, so basically this conspiracy actually predates the conspiracy itself. We've been wanting to have a conspiracy for a long time, and then we decided to set up hydrogen bombs and call forth aliens. And I'm like, okay, slow your roll. Wait, what's going on? And then the implication was that maybe corporations are actually behind this, and they're trying to hide the alien technology for financial profit. And I'm like, okay, that sounds vaguely plausible.
That sounds like every other show going on TV right now.
It does sound like every other show going on TV right now. But then the whole thing is like, and what are they going to do? They're going to conquer America. The government's already conquered America. They're the government. Like, the problem with this is that it's not that Mulder has a theory. It's not that it's a crazy theory. Most of his theories are crazy. It's that the show, based on very little evidence, very little drama, there's nothing that radically changes anyone's mind other than Mulder gets a crazy new idea. There's nothing to inspire the idea that all of a sudden this is the real conspiracy.
Yeah.
They try to bring in that guy who actually knows what's going on, and he says, you're close.
But not quite.
But, like, it doesn't really help, and it just ends up... we were both talking about how the monster episodes were kind of the best X-Files episodes because they didn't have their head all the way up their ass. This show has arrived, packaged for us, head inside ass.
Well,
it's frustrating.
The other real issue I'm having with this episode, and we'll talk about the other one, is that everything is written to a point that I think they're trying to get ahead of the audience, and we don't want the audience to guess the end. So we're going to create such a radically crazy story without dropping any hints to what the solution is going to be, that by the time we arrive at the conclusion, you actually have no idea how we got there to begin with.
I had to watch this episode a couple of times to even get the impression that I knew what was going on. And I realized that makes me sound dumb. It's like, no, because it's all in dialogue and so much of it is hypothetical that it's a little difficult to determine exactly what they're saying is happening at any given time. Part of the appeal of the X-Files has been its enigmatic nature.
Exactly.
They talk in this episode a lot about how Mulder still wants to believe, because evidence has been elusive. You met a genie. You met a genie and it changed the world because you made a wish. The truth is around. You just didn't get the evidence. You can believe all you want. But
isn't that faith? Isn't that what faith is?
When God does stuff so that you don't have to... Okay, yeah. See, here's my thing is that this episode is trying so hard to rewrite the conspiracy so that it's new and fresh and gets us excited about it again, changes it for a new generation, but also selectively ignore everything that they didn't want. But then they didn't selectively ignore the stuff that makes the show not work.
Just give us a new conspiracy.
Would have been fine.
Would have been okay.
How do you get these agents in from the cold? They've given up. It's just basically, there's a YouTube video. That's their big headshot.
That's it. YouTube, it's cool now. That's actually the whole issue with this damn show so far, is that we're going to hit all the high notes of all the cool things. Look, we're going to make self-referential comments, and we're going to just talk about things that are hip and cool these days.
You can look us up on Finder Spider.
I'm surprised they didn't just have Mulder pull up an iPhone and ask how to use it.
They specifically referenced Uber. They did. It was like, oh, he's Uber, we're Okay, look, I'm going to say this right now, because I know a lot of people are just like, I'm a huge fan of the X-Files. All I wanted to see was the X-Files again. It feels kind of like the X-Files. A lot of the cast is back. I don't know if we needed the cigarette smoking man, because didn't he explode last time we saw him?
Right? Yeah, I think it was in a rain of missile fire.
I'm like, how many times? I know it's the X-Files and people come back to life all the time, but really? Okay, fine.
And the whole tracheotomy, though.
That
was so gross.
Okay, that
was, and that was the creepiest thing about that episode.
Valuable lesson. But what we wanted to see was basically Mulder and Scully back together. David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson. They had some of the best chemistry of the 1990s, and yet it just feels like David Duchovny he's supposed to be kind of depressed, but instead it just seems like he's droning. Like he's just sleepwalking through the episode. And, poor Gillian Anderson's just like, oh, I'm really worried about you. You seem very tired. It's like, no, he just is tired. Like, it doesn't seem to be, there's no Mulder used to get excited by the things that excited
Yeah.
him. Here, it just sounds like he's bummed out that he has to talk about him again. It doesn't thrill me.
There's no sense of wonderment. There's no sense of discovery. There's no the heart of the X-Files, as you said, are Mulder and Scully, and even though they're back, that there's all this baggage. There's their relationship, their child, their I don't even know how much these actors even really wanted to be here. You know, it's just sad, and it's just not them. And I hope it gets better as the miniseries goes on. But right now, it just seems like, you know, I'm kind of reminded that David Duchovny is not that strong of an actor, and I feel like Gillian Anderson herself is having to kind of dumb down how fantastic she is to fit this series, and it's really just disappointing.
And I feel bad for poor Mitch Pileggi too, because he has to play like the X-Files fan person.
I know.
Like he's just like, yeah, I kept it exactly as you left it, and no one's touched this place for like 14 years. Why is there janitorial equipment in here and it's brand new? I don't know anything about that. But I'm like, wait a minute. The FBI didn't need an office in their like Virginia branch for like 14 years. There's like, hey, we need a sit room. We need a sit rep for all of these drug deals that are going on, all this domestic terrorism. They're like, yeah, no, but Mulder and Scully used to be in there, and we were bros.
How sad is it that poor Assistant Director Skinner has remained in that role for 14 years? I'm like, he did some good.
We're going to find out his superior is now Krychek or something. All right, everybody, we will be back actually real soon with the review of the second episode. So stick around, and then we'll be back on a regular schedule on Thursday.